This is Jacob Nash with JNGL. This video is about trig word problems, and this is standard 2.4. 4.2, sorry. Okay, so what do we have here? So the really only terms that are for this video are going to be angle of elevation and angle of depression. That sad angle you see there. Angle of elevation is really just when you're looking up at an object. Is going to be formed by a horizontal line and a line of sight, which is called LOS. Line of sight. That's what it can be referred to as, or it might just be written out. But you have two objects like these squares, and this one right here is looking up at this one, and this blue angle is the angle of elevation that's looking up to it. Angle of depression is a little bit harder because you sometimes don't know which one it is. And this time it's when you're looking down, and it's also formed by the LOS and another horizontal line. So it is not, this purple line is not included in this angle of depression because it is a vertical line. Vertical just means up and down, horizontal is left to right. But that's not what it is. It's going to be this pink angle. This pink and black angle, or pink and black lines form this green angle, which is going to be the angle of depression. And it would be from this object's point of view that's looking down to this one. So there's different word problems that reference these two terms that will help you know what they're talking about. So there's 4 different kinds of word problems you might get, and here's the first kind. This is an angle of elevation with distance. So all this is basically just the same thing as in standard 4.1, but just you have to figure it out from words. And you have to know what angle of elevation and depression are. The angle of elevation from a friend on the ground to the window of the other friend's house is 23 degrees. If he is 46 feet from the base of the house, how tall is the house from the ground to the window? So you basically should just kind of pick out really just the numbers for now. And maybe, so angle of depression is 23 degrees, and he's 46 feet from it. Since there's units, we gotta do that. When you're, you can try to draw a picture, which will make it easier. When you're drawing walls and things, you can just draw out the lines. But if it's talking about people, you can just label that with letters. So we have the house here. Let's say this is the wall of the house. And let's say this is the window and with the friend in it, and I'll just label that as W. And then we have an angle of depression, so it's going to be like this. This is what the line of sight is. And the friend that's down below I'm just going to write as F. And the angle of elevation is not this one. It's going to be this one, because it's forming with the line of sight and also a horizontal line that I can draw in here. What we're actually trying to find is how tall is the house from the ground to the window. Let's say maybe the house does go on further, but let's say that at this blue point is where the window is. So as far as the triangle goes is what it is. So this length is what we want to find, x. So, and I have to label some things. This is 23 degrees. That's what it said. And if he's 46 feet, he or she is 46 feet from the house, that would be this bottom area. So now we know that we can just solve like any normal thing. So what we can do is we're trying to see from this angle what is each thing. So the line of sight is going to be the hypotenuse always, because it's the one that's not straight. This is going to be the O, or opposite side, and this is the A, or adjacent side. So the two things that are given is the A and the X. The H doesn't matter because there's nothing right here that's really talked about. So we know from SOHCAHTOA that TOA, T for tangent, and OA. So we know we are using tangent. So this is going to be the tangent of 29 that equals, we are going to have OA, so x over 46. And we multiply both sides by 46. And let me see what I get here. I'm going to put this into my... Oh, I remembered. From the other video, actually, when you're trying to do plug things in, it does not work out good because you will actually need a formal calculator, or if you know how to plug it in right, do that. But I just know that the answer is going to be tangent of 49, or 29 times 46. That's what the answer would be. This isn't really about how to solve it, it's just about how to know the word problems. Question 2 type 2, is finding an angle with the elevation. So we were just finding the length, which was the height. Now we're going to actually find really the length of, or not a length, what is the angle of depression or elevation, but in this case, elevation. So this time, a soccer player is 10 feet from a goal. The goal is 7 feet tall. So we can just go ahead and do this. What is the angle of elevation from the player to the goal top? So let's say this is the goal, G, and we know that it is 7 feet tall. And then the soccer player is 10 feet from the goal, so 10 feet. And then the soccer player is right here, S. And then we can connect this other side because we're trying to make a triangle. And we know this will be right angle, just like on the other one. And so that's the line of sight. But anyways, what we're trying to find is going to be this. I don't have enough space to name that X, but let's call this X. This red area, this angle. So first we have to figure out what we're going to use. This is the opposite. This is the adjacent. This is the hypotenuse. And then we are going to be circling these. So we're using tangent. And, well, seems like with word problems, most of the time you use tangent, but not every time. It just happens to be for, I think, almost all of these problems on this video. But what I will set up what you would say for the equation, but since we're using tangent, we would say tangent of x. I like to put this in parentheses because it makes it stand out kind of. And then over OA, so that's 7 over 10. And what you would do is you would multiply 7 over 10 times the tangent to the negative first, which, if you want to do that, you do second and then tangent. That's what you would do for that one. The third type is an angle of depression problem that is normal. So a girl is sitting in a treehouse looking at her dad with nachos below. So you can see the pictures. If the line of sight is 18 feet and the angle of depression is 36 degrees, how far away is the girl from the dad? So this is going to be from the girl's point of view, which is higher. That's how you know it's going to be an angle of depression, because she's higher up. And if you think of depression, it's when you're like down and low, and really it doesn't mean that you are low when you're doing it, but you're looking low. And elevation, you think of like a tall mountain with a certain elevation. You're looking up at the mountain. So anyways, we can just say G for girl, who's in her tree house, and there is a line of sight that it's 18 feet. And then below is the dad with nachos. I'll just say DN, dad with nachos. And then, let's see, it said the angle of depression, what it was. And so we can go down like this and just form the rest of our triangle. So we know this is going to be the treehouse right here, pretty much. And then something that you might have a mistake with is that this is not the angle of depression. It is actually, remember, because it forms with a horizontal line. This is a vertical line. So it's not going to be that. So we actually have to draw out another thing. So just for this case, I'm going to erase the 18 feet right here. And I'll just put it like right here. Just remember this feet because I don't feel awkward. Okay. And so now we can actually draw another triangle. That might be what you have to do sometimes with the angle of depression kind of problems. And now that we have a horizontal line, we know that this angle that we just created right here is the angle of depression, which is 36 degrees. So, really, what we're looking at to solve the problem is going to be this triangle. And we have to forget about the one that was really illustrated when we were reading the thing. It's really going to be this triangle. So from that 36's point of view, this is the opposite, this is the hypotenuse, and this is the adjacent. This time, it's going to be O and H that we were given. That means that we're going to use sine, because so kato. And then we would set it up like this, sine of 36, and then we oh yes, sorry, that's not right. Actually, we are not trying to find this O. We don't care about how high up she is. We're actually asked how far away she was from. So we're not using sine. We're using cosine actually. So cosine of 36 equals we're gonna label that x because that's what we're trying to find, and then a over h. So x over 18, because remember this length, which is the h, is going to be the 18 feet. And then you would solve by multiplying 18 by sine of 36. This is the last kind of question that is to another level angle of depression. That doesn't sound fun, and this is the kind of question that's hard, so you have to still know how to do it though. So there's a thing that comes up with this kind of question is that when we're trying to label the things, well, really, you could just the things that we're going to be labeling are buildings, and it's building A and building B, but we can't say BA and BB because that's really kind of confusing. So we actually have to use a German letter for this. This is S-test. And it kind of looks like a weird B like that. And if you take German, you might know what that is. S-test. But anyways, building A is 480 feet. So we have building A with the S-test A, and it's going to be 480 feet. Once again, I don't need to write feet, but that is what it is. And for all these answers that you get, you just put feet, because that's what units in. And so then we have another building that is building B, so S-test B. And then that is going to be 654 feet. And if the angle of depression from top of building B to building A is 42 degrees, so first let's connect the tops of these buildings. And so we're really just connecting the walls. If you actually had the full building, it would kind of look like that. But that's why we use the letters, because we don't really want to draw the whole thing. But we could, but let's just go back to that. Angle of depression, remember, it's not going to be that angle because that's a vertical thing. So we have to actually draw a triangle up here like this. If that, and it's saying that is 42 degrees, it's saying how far apart is the two buildings. Okay, well, we go and we find out that this is the opposite